Welcome to Functionally Speaking, the podcast where two clinicians share one brain cell and way too many opinions.
I'm Laura, your mineral-obsessed dietitian who gets fired up about gut health, metabolism, and fertility, with enough sass to keep it interesting and enough nuance to keep it real.
And I'm Danielle, a physician assistant obsessed with gut health, hormones, and calling out bullshit.
We're here for the nuance, the hot takes, the facts your certification skipped over, and the occasional spiral into chaos.
If you're a health coach, practitioner, or clinician who's slightly functional, just like our mitochondria in our recording process, you're in the right place.
We're not here to sugarcoat the science or pretend there's one right way to do this work. We're doing it our way, unfiltered, slightly feral, and always with love for the humans we serve. Let's get into it.
All right, welcome back to Functionally Speaking, the clinical pod that spirals responsibly. And is slightly functional, just like our mitochondria and recording processes. It is sponsored by Unconventional Collaborative, which is a virtual interdisciplinary mastermind for coaches, practitioners, and trainers to elevate their practice, run by yours truly and yours truly number 2.
We're one and the same at this point.
We share a brain cell. If you guys haven't caught that yet, we share one brain cell and a lot of opinions. We're going to talk about creatine today, which I'm very excited about because I have been a fan of creatine for a long time. For people who don't know, I've been lifting weights since I was 12 years old. Brooke, who is a good friend of both of ours and also a collaborative member and a wonderful dietitian, I tell her that I have been literally lifting weights as long as she's been alive. So fun fact.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Isn't it? I forget how young she is sometimes because she's so great.
And I've been moving my body since probably before birth, but
yeah.
Huge fan of creatine. So let's get into it.
So like the first thing that I wrote out for the intro for this was like, is creatine worth the hype? And the short answer is yes. 100%.
Which is saying a lot coming from both of us, because I feel like we are both like so cynical and so ready to be like, no, this is dumb. So like, I feel like this deserves a lot of attention. The fact that both of us are like a resounding hell yes. It is worth the hype.
This is like a no-brainer for me. Listen, it's more about just like building your biceps, right? But I mean, but also like muscle is expensive real estate. And, you know, if you're lifting weights on a regular basis, this is a no-brainer for metabolic health for me, but also for brain health, mental health. I even found some information that like it can help with postpartum depletion.
Because it's also beneficial because of its cognitive benefits. It helps with the sleep deprived human.
Yes.
Who is the most sleep deprived human? The postpartum mom, especially because everyone tells you to sleep when you're pregnant, but you literally cannot sleep the last trimester of your pregnancy, no matter what you do, because you're so uncomfortable. You're probably overheating, underheating, like it's insane. So you're literally going into the newborn phase, sleep deprived, and then you're even more sleep deprived. And anyway, I did not use it either postpartum, and I so wish I had, because I use it now and I absolutely love it. And let's just back up a little bit, reverse, and like talk about creatine. Creatine is found in our food and in our body. So I think also understanding that when we talk about some supplements, I think it's important to understand too, like what even are they and can we get them from food? And I think that there's actually some really cool research out there on creatine in kids and how a higher amount of creatine intake from food alone can help with kids achieving a higher height. Not necessarily like, you know, if their parents are 5'8", now they're going to be 6'5", but like they actually will achieve full height because of the benefits of animal protein and creatine, which is wild that study even exists. But finding it in our meat and our protein-rich sources is amazing. And we find it in our body. So it's something that our body actually also knows what to do with, which is cool. What I always tell all my clients, because obviously I'm a dietitian, this is what I harp on, is like, we can start with just making sure you're getting enough creatine from your food, and we can also supplement on top of it. And I just think that like, it's a yes and. It's not an either or, it's a yes and of like, let's do both, because we know that it can benefit at larger quantities, which I think we both are learning more and more about as well.
Yeah, and that's super interesting about kids. I did not know about that, but I also
link the study. It's so interesting.
Is creatine found in, I don't think it's found in like, you have to eat animal product. Like what I'm looking at here, I just did some quick Google searching. It says foods that don't contain creatine: plants, dairy, and eggs. So it's like beef, pork, salmon, like basically meat,
animal proteins, and fish.
So I mean that could lead us down a whole other vegan conversation that
Well, right. And I think that also, like, obviously neither of us are pediatric providers, but like we work with, I think the way I'm shifting kind of my practice too is like, I work with moms, so do you.
Same.
And so when you're talking about mom's health or family health, the kid's health matters too, right?
Totally.
And I'm currently dealing with some issues with my son, and that's a stressor, and stressors impact health, right? So I think
Totally.
I'm starting to try to extrapolate some of this information to kids, not because I'm going to become a pediatric expert, but just understanding like, how is this not only benefiting the parent, but also the kid? And I have 2 young kids, and let me tell you, getting them animal proteins is hard, especially as they reach the more picky stage, which is like between 1 and 5, 1 and 6. It is much harder to get animal proteins. Now, both my kids are, knock on wood, pretty good eaters, but I think that is hard too, because if you're not providing that source to them and you're not finding ways to get them to eat it, that is a detriment, could be a detriment to long-term health. I don't think it's like the worst thing in the world. Like, I'm not shaming any mom, because listen, I get it. The dinner struggles are real. But it's so cool that like, if we could make this a whole family approach, I think that everyone benefits, because I feel like I went completely off track, but I think
no, I feel like this is so relevant.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
People who are working with adult clients. I just was having this conversation the other day. If you are not recognizing that your female or male, whatever adult clients have stressors with their children and helping them address that, like that's been a huge part of my practice recently too, is like, we have she's actually a dentist, but she's a parent advocate, and she helps people navigate those struggles. And I was just talking to Julia about like us doing like a freebie swap and stuff, because I feel like there's so much crossover, and I'm recommending her services all the time to my clients because of that. So I feel like, and then I also was thinking, I feel like with your kids, you could just put the berries down and sprinkle the creatine on top and tell them it's powdered sugar.
Oh, the berries. God, they go so fast.
Yes. Like RIP to all of the toddler moms out there who are listening, like losing their paycheck in
just
berries.
Eat the banana. Like, why do you need the whole thing of berries? Like, you can have both, but stop eating the berries at the rate that you're eating them.
Getting back to the creatine thing. Also, women have less creatine stores than men. Maybe not everybody listening, but I feel like a lot of our members inside the collaborative work predominantly with women. Like, I would say 80 to 90% of the clients we're talking about inside of the collaborative, obviously HIPAA compliant, like we're not giving away information or anything, are women. And part of this is like because men tend to have more muscle mass, but also apparently estrogen plays a role. Estrogen appears to influence the synthesis and usage of creatine. It may downregulate, I'm reading here, may downregulate transporter expression, meaning women absorb and store less creatine in their cells. And this also plays a huge role in energy, right? Like we haven't even touched on that role of creatine, right? And producing, and the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Yeah. But yeah, I just think that that's like, how many people do we see with fatigue, right? And this is, I think why this is both such a hell yes for both of us, is it's cheap, it's well researched, it's safe. We know that it is. Like it's even being studied up to 20 grams at this point, which like, the usual dosage is suggested is like 5 grams per day. For the neuro and cognitive stuff, they're looking at between like 10 and 20 grams. And this is new and emerging research, right? There's even some research saying that this can help with like the cognitive and mood symptoms during luteal phases for women. Like it just,
well, there is a relationship between creatine and estrogen. When estrogen dips, creatine actually goes down as well. So this is also why it can be really beneficial for perimenopausal and menopausal women, not to mention the breastfeeding woman as well. And I think there's, I work with a ton of postpartum women as well as perimenopause, but I think this postpartum woman who is breastfeeding, so many people are scared to do things with them, not to mention the pregnant woman, right? And I think that it's because we're scared we don't want to impact the baby, obviously. But what about the woman, right? Why does she have to not do so many things because we're so worried about the baby, when like creatine is, like you said, really well researched and really, and honestly, like I wish I had done it with both of my kids and I just didn't. I honestly didn't even have the capacity to take supplements. Like that's a whole nother thing, but like I probably should have made that a priority, because it can help when estrogen is low, and postpartum, especially while nursing, is a low estrogen period. And so it can be really beneficial. And like you said, it can help with mitochondrial health. And why does that matter? Because it helps us produce ATP, which is energy in the body. And who else is so fatigued? That postpartum woman. Like, obviously, we can say everyone is probably fatigued in, our normal culture, but like that postpartum woman, I just feel so bad for, because there is such thing. I think we've already touched on this, a postpartum depletion. And it's just basically like written off as like, oh, well, you have a newborn.
Yeah.
Okay. And you just lost 10% of your minerals to said newborn. And now you're sleep deprived, and you probably aren't eating 3 regular meals because you're waking up all hours of the night. You're rushing out the door. If you have multiple kids, it's so hard. So anyway, rant aside, I think that we are so scared to supplement in breastfeeding women. And I think this is a very appropriate thing to be supplementing in breastfeeding women.
Yeah, I agree. This for me, and I don't make a lot of blanket statements, but this for me is a no-brainer for every client. Every client gets a creatine recommendation from me, and not because I'm a supplement pusher and like, listen, people leave me on like maybe 3 supplements, and creatine is one of them. Magnesium is usually another, vitamin D and omegas, like some kind of mixture of that, just because those things are typically very low for people. But is this like an absolute yes for you with everyone? Like, are you singing creatine's praises to anyone who will listen?
No, but I probably should. I think it depends, because I too am really, really cognizant of supplement load. And I
Totally.
think it just depends where the person is in either, like, can they even handle a supplement period, right? Like, do we need them to just be eating breakfast and not just slamming coffee, right? Like, sometimes we have to start that slow with someone, which is not, there's no shame in that. Whether it's
Right.
from the provider perspective, I think providers sometimes we like feel like we're not doing enough. And from the client perspective, they feel like they're not doing enough. But sometimes, like, we have to do less before we can do more. So this is, for me, I think it's a long term, like, I eventually want someone to get on it when they have the capacity for it. But I also think I'm shifting of being like, maybe this is actually one of the starting foundations until we add other ones. So I think my practice is probably going to change in how I'm utilizing it, because the more I read about it and the more I utilize it, and I see other providers like you utilizing it, I do think that this is probably going to become one of my go-tos, along with, like, I'm a mineral pusher. So sodium, potassium, magnesium, all
Laura's
those
a
things.
drug dealer. Do you think there's
Get all your trace minerals.
anyone that this isn't appropriate for?
I mean, I think if someone has chronic kidney disease, potentially not. I don't know that we have enough research on it. So
I also think it's important to know that like creatinine and creatine are different things.
oh, yes, correct. But it can, and that's also important, it can actually increase creatinine when you
But
first
that's
start
like
taking it.
normal too.
Yes, it's
That's
normal to
like
happen.
it's not, I was reading about this, and there's not like any damage happening because of it. It just is. Of course,
But I
there are
also think that's why if you have something like chronic kidney disease, you probably, anything, that's not just creatine, right? It's like
totally.
any supplement, because your kidneys are already struggling to filter anything coming through your body. And so it's not just a creatine is hurting kidneys discussion. This is probably not just a yes or no answer for this person. This is they need to be followed by a provider who can support them and understand their actual needs.
Yeah, so I'm reading if someone has stage 3 or higher chronic kidney disease, adding creatine may raise creatinine, which is the breakdown product, making labs more difficult to interpret. So yeah, like if that's you or your client, like make sure they're talking to their nephrologist, because like listen, there is one thing I never wanted to fuck with in hospital medicine. There was a nephrology fellow that wanted me to start a bicarb drip one night, and I go, absolutely the fuck not. I don't know shit about this. Oh, and I am not paid enough for that. Anyways, yeah, I do think that most people can be benefiting from this, and I also think there's like a lot of misconceptions with creatine as well. So I think maybe the coach, practitioner, or trainer especially trainers too, might want to understand how to talk to their clients and answer questions about this, right? So number one, I would say like it's unless you have known kidney disease, this is not hurting your kidneys is one of those misconceptions like that would say is like one of the biggest things that people need to understand, and that creatinine and creatine, because they look so similar, the words, I feel like people think it's the same thing, and it's like no, they are not the same thing.
They are related though.
Yes.
And it's to be expected.
Correct. Also though, if you have just a lot of muscle mass, you will have a higher creatinine level. That has been an issue for me since I've been 25. People have been like, oh, why is your creatinine
Jacked?
Yeah, fuckers. No, I'm kidding.
Speaking of jacked, is this going to make you bulky?
Yeah, no, listen, I'm trying to get bulky right now, and this
It's
is
a full-time
fucking
job.
dude. The amount of food I'm
Yeah.
eating right now, like it is a full-time job. Like this is not going to make you bulky. It's not going to make you look like the Hulk. It's going to help you build muscle, which again, metabolically so important, right?
I have had some people say that they digestively feel bloated or
Mhm.
like they can't handle it. And so what I usually recommend, and I'm curious what you do, is first off, I'm like, why? Right? Like usually someone comes to me, we're also running a stool test. So like it's totally possible that it's not the creatine. It's the way the body is responding to the creatine. So for me, it's like, okay, do you have low stomach acid? Do you have overgrowth? Is there H. pylori? Like, what else is happening to the point that you can't
Yes.
tolerate something this benign? But then I also can say, okay, well, maybe we can start at a lower dose. Maybe we can try a different supplement, right? Like a lot of people just respond differently to different supplements. So it's
Yeah.
possible that you could also play around with that. Because it's powder, it's pretty easy to taper up and taper down.
Totally.
So you could always start with 1 gram and see how the person does while you're working on digestive basics and protocols, et cetera, and you can build from there. But that's kind of what I have recommended and seen kind of be beneficial for people. Curious if you have any other insight on that.
Yeah, splitting dose, like for me, every day, like it goes into my plug for the collaborative, my element,
Same.
my minerals, and creatine go in here every day. It's so easy because it just like it dumps in, right? You can't taste it. It doesn't change the taste of my drink.
It's not, it doesn't get clumpy. It
Right.
literally like mixes so well.
It's so well. I don't know what brand you use. I use Thorn.
I use Legion.
Yes, I've used Legion in the past too. Um
Ton of great brands out there. Like
yeah.
if anyone wants recommendations, but I
Yeah.
I recommend Thorn, Legion, now Puri, and I actually just got SFH just sent me some, so I'm gonna try them and see. But it's usually companies that I already trust and know third
Yeah.
party tests and have quality products and distributors, etc.
But yeah, I will split doses for people if it is giving you GI distress. One, I want to highlight what you said, I think was really important for the practitioners and coaches listening. If something that benign is causing issues, like there is something deeper going on, like don't just be like, oh, I guess they can't tolerate creatine. Like that should not be something that is like causing that much distress for somebody. So I think that was like a really important like pearl for people to take away from this episode. But yeah, I mean, like you can split the doses, and that's really helpful, especially when we talk about getting into some of these more cognitive benefits or post concussion protocols. Like, split it up into like, you can do 3 gram doses 5 times a day, or whatever your dose or the target is that you're trying to hit for people. So yeah, I mean, I go about it the same way. It's pretty easy.
I think that's a good point too. So like old school creatine methodology was doing a loading phase for a
Yeah.
week or two at 20 grams and then like saturating the body and then pulling back to the 5 gram dose a day. There is no need to do that. So that's the other thing too. If like you're doing a loading phase and someone's having digestive distress, like pull them back, start with five
Yeah.
grams a day and just see if they can tolerate that. And then Danielle's talking about a lot of these more cognitive benefits, post concussion type things. That's where we're seeing the 10 to 20 grams per day. And so we just have to make sure it's appropriate for the person who we're utilizing it for and how they're tolerating it. But there's no need anymore for a loading phase. And people also ask me like timing of day. And I say this with almost every supplement. It's like, when can you take it? Because we want you to be consistent. You need to take it every day to continue to see the benefits. So your body's not going to continue to store it and you have like this great backup system. Like your body's going to use it. So you want to make sure you're taking it daily. And so whenever you remember, I'm the same way. I put it in first thing in the morning. And so when I'm done my 40 ounce, which both of us are beverage goblins and drink a ton of water. So like, I'm going to drink probably 2 to 3 of these a day with creatine in just my first one, not the second or third one. And is it sometimes around my workout? Yes. Is it sometimes not? Yes. But there's really no need for it to be directly around workouts. The major part that I see for people is just making sure they're getting it in.
Yeah. And I think one of the other things that's important that we oddly didn't mention yet is like the monohydrate form.
Yes, we
Is
didn't.
I can't believe we got this far without talking about that, but that is really, really important. It's the most easily digested, I think, too. And
It's
just,
what's researched too. So we
yes.
know the most about it and we know that what benefits we are seeing are from what's researched. And this is like a tangent, but this is why we also talk so much. And maybe if you haven't followed us or don't know us well, we talk a lot about like the quality of supplements and the third party testing and like them being transparent. Because there's a lot of brands out there using proprietary blends. And like, it's not to say all proprietary, it's a really hard word to say. Proprietary blends are bad. It's just saying, so a lot of times they can make claims off of ingredients that they put into their product without ever telling you how much of the product is in there. So the claim may be null and void because, you know, the research is showing 5 milligrams and you're taking 0.1 milligrams from the proprietary blend. So that's what's cool about creatine is like, it's just creatine. It's not a proprietary blend. You're getting however many grams of the powder. I mean, it depends if you're Danielle and going full send.
I think you're bringing up a good point, which is I'm going to veer a little bit from the creatine thing, but making sure that you understand what your clients are taking is really important because I just had one of my clients send me like all of her supplements and I mean, if she wasn't taking all this stuff every day, but if she would have been, it would have been like 3,000 milligrams of magnesium. And it was like all magnesium oxide, mag citrate. So like if she was having diarrhea and that's why she was coming to me, like, and she was taking that stuff every day.
She wasn't.
She's not taking it all the time.
Okay.
She called herself a supplement ADHDer.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was cute. No hate to her at all, obviously. But really like making sure like they sneak B12, B6, B vitamins into everything. And so if you're not looking at that closely with your clients, like make sure you are looking at that. Like I said, total side tangent. Listen, we never said that there wouldn't be tangents here. You've been
No, we
warned.
did promise that. Well, I think that to that point, it's important to ask like why someone is on something because I always like to know like when did they start it and why did they start it? Like not just what benefits they're seeing or if they're seeing benefits, but like I just want to know the why. Did they get it because their favorite influencer told them? Did a doctor put them on it? Did they have labs done? Like we can then understand their story a little bit more, where sometimes people are like, I don't even know. And then they start realizing that like, oh, because I picked up this supplement from this influencer. My mom told me about this. And all of a sudden they picked up all these supplements, but they didn't know to look and cross-reference and understand because that's not their specialty, right? That's where we come in and understanding how supplements interact with one another, how they interact with diet, how they interact with medications, et cetera. So I think it's important to understand that. And that too, like I think some people are worried about creatine because women are worried about the messaging that they've heard in the past, right? They don't want to get bulky, but like, I think if you can explain to them, like, first off, you're not going to get bulky. Second off, like, we want you to gain muscle. Like, that's part of being a healthy human. I think a lot of women are. And then honestly, for my populations, talking about the cognitive benefits, like the second I bring it up, they're like, done, sold. How soon can I start?
Yes. Yeah. People create, and it's like we said, I think just to sum up, it's well researched, it's well tolerated, it's a hell yes for so many different reasons. I've never seen someone have a bad side effect to it. Even like with the water retention that people can get with like the 1 to 3 pounds of like water weight or whatever. Like I don't even have people talk to me about that, to be really honest with you. I don't notice it. I've never noticed it. So like, could it happen? Yes. But I don't think it's really significant enough that it would ever make me want to stop taking it because of the benefits. And again, it's so dirt cheap, well tolerated, well researched, so many benefits. Yeah, it's definitely something I think people should be recommending on a pretty regular basis to their clients. So
I agree. I even think that I'm currently in the process of changing how I recommend it too. Right? Like that's the whole thing. Like I think we're constantly changing and evolving, and when we understand more, we can do more. So the more you know, the more you know. The more you know, you don't know.
The Dunning-Kruger. All right. Well, I don't.
If you want to learn more from us, what's the word? Unconventionalcollaborative.com, or find us on Instagram at unconventional.collaborative and join us at the collaborative. And you can find Danielle at danielle.kepix and me at the Sassy Dietitian.
Later.
Bye.